I bet you want to know who's on the radio. Let's talk about it. I tell you what, you won't find a tandem better than these two. Let's talk about it. You ready for this? See, you didn't just stumble upon some random show. Nah, this here is destiny. Jeffrey, Renee.
It's almost showtime, people.
Let's talk about it. Live with Jeffrey and Renee. Watching is the best decision you'll ever make. Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Only on www.StatusNetwork.net. Call or text in live 470-251-4647. Hashtag Let's Talk with Jeffrey and Renee.
You know what time it is.
And here are your hosts, Jeffrey and Renee.
Going on Facebook family, what's going on Instagram family? Manifest TV right here on Status Network. It is time for Let's Talk About It Live with Jeffrey and Renee. Every Saturday right here from 6 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. This is exactly how we do it. Now listen, we have another amazingly hot show today. We are going to be joined by the Bentley lawyer. Judge Jackie Patterson will be with us in just a second. But Renee, how's your week been?
My week's been actually great.
Glad to hear that.
How about yours?
Pretty good. I was avoiding the rain out there. Did the rain get you?
Yes, it got me too.
Now listen, normally we start off with a little HBCU love. We do some close your mouth and listen, or some Hey Zaddy, whatever the case is. We're going to do something a little different today because Judge Jackie Patterson is with us. So we're going to go ahead and bring Judge Patterson up. And we're going to jump right into the segment of the show that we call Know Your Rights. Judge Jackie Patterson, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be with you all today. It is such a pleasure to see you all on this Saturday afternoon.
We really appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. We want to jump right into it. First of all, tell us a little bit about your firm, what you do, and the types of clients you represent.
Yes, my firm is a criminal defense, personal injury, and police brutality boutique. We represent people that get charged with crimes ranging from speeding to murder, people that are injured in car accidents, and people that are brutalized by the police with unnecessary force.
Understood. Now, you have a unique background with your professional career, law enforcement. Tell us how you went from law enforcement to where you are currently, if you don't mind.
Yes, after high school, I spent 3 years in the Army as a paratrooper. And after that, I joined the Atlanta Police Department. And while there, I was a foot-beat patrolman, and I also patrolled in a vehicle. And I got my undergrad and my master's while I was on the police department. And then I left and went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University.
Love it, love it.
And then after graduating from that, I've been a lawyer now for 29 years. But after I've been a lawyer for about 9 years, I was appointed a part-time judgeship and did that from the year 2000 until 2020. I just retired as a judge in 2020, but still have my law firm.
Outstanding, outstanding.
Congratulations.
Outstanding. Now, when you said the Thurgood Marshall, first of all, that's one of the most well-respected institutions in the country, not just HBCUs, in the country. Very well done. Judge, I want to ask you one question really quickly, and then Renee, of course, if you have questions, jump right in. If I'm walking down the street, and I'm just walking, and I get stopped by a police officer, and the officer says to me, hey, give me your ID, what should I do?
Well, I always tell people the last thing you want to do is have a confrontation. What most people do, which I totally, even though it's legal to say, officer, I am not giving you my ID, what crime have I committed? And you have the right to walk on about your business and totally disregard that police officer. That is your legal right because you're not a suspect in a crime. If you're not a suspect in a crime, if an officer asks you for your ID just walking up on you, you have two things you can do. You can say, officer, I'm not doing that. And you can keep walking because you haven't violated the law. But I also tell people that to avoid a confrontation, because sometimes police officers get on this power trip, of course, to avoid a confrontation, feel free to give him your driver's license. You haven't did anything wrong. And within a few minutes, you should be on your way. But there should be no legal reason why an officer would just approach you and say, give me your driver's license or your ID, without some probable cause that you have committed a crime or that you're a suspect in some criminal activity.
Understood. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand the fine line that he said. He articulated what your rights are. He also gave you advice on the way you might want to handle yourself given the same situation. Not bad advice at all. Thank you so much. Renee, did you have a question?
I do. So if I'm placed under arrest and my Miranda rights have not been quoted to me or read to me after I'm arrested, how do I handle that?
That is a great question. A lot of people don't really understand what Miranda rights actually stand for. In fact, let me tell you how Miranda actually came into play.
Yeah.
Miranda is called Arizona v. Miranda, and the case came out of the state of Arizona back in the 60s, where a young man was just kind of pacing back and forth in front of a store, and the police walked up to him thinking that he looked suspicious and started asking him incriminating questions, and these questions were used against him in a court of law. But he was not given what his rights are, which is the right to remain silent, the right to a lawyer, and those kind of things. So when he went to trial, he was found guilty, and the U.S. Supreme Court threw out his conviction because the officer arrested him, asked him incriminating statements, and those statements were used against him in court. So since that day forward, if a police officer arrests you, keep in mind, he does not have to read you your Miranda rights unless two things take place. One is that you have to be placed under arrest, and two, he has to ask you incriminating information about the crime that you are accused of. But if an officer asks you information about a crime and you are not under arrest, then everything that you said to that officer is admissible in court. You have to first be placed under arrest and asked incriminating questions. If you're placed under arrest and he asks you no incriminating questions, Miranda warnings are not applicable at that time.
Understood. Great.
And last but not least, a lot of people sometimes, since Miranda is such a big U.S. Supreme Court case, just a tidbit end note on that, Mr. Miranda was actually killed in a bar fight after his case was overturned. He was actually killed in a bar.
Wow. Thank you so much for that insight. Now I'm going to ask you a question about the Supreme Court decision that happened in Pennsylvania regarding Bill Cosby. From a legal perspective, give us your take on the way that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Mr. Cosby, or Bill Cosby.
Yes, let me say that I'm going to give a purely legal opinion based upon the opinion that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court issued. First of all, let me give you a little bit of the backdrop. When Bill Cosby was accused of these sexual assaults, the DA decided, based upon the audio tapes that had been recorded, he decided that was not enough evidence to prosecute Bill Cosby. This was District Attorney Castro. He decided there's no real chance of a conviction taking place, but he decided, I want to make sure that the victims in this case get justice, because there was a civil lawsuit that was pending against Bill Cosby. So the DA made Bill Cosby and his lawyers a deal. The DA said, we will not prosecute you if you agree to make statements in your civil trial. And Bill Cosby did 4 depositions. And all of these depositions, he incriminated himself. He made statements that's considered a crime. So when that happened, the DA that made the promise not to prosecute him, that DA left office and a new DA came in. And when the new DA came in, the DA reopened the case and said, wait a minute, I decided, regardless of what was said about you not being prosecuted, I am now the new prosecutor and I'm going to prosecute you. The case went to trial, he was convicted, and all those incriminating statements that he made throughout his civil deposition, those statements were used against him at his criminal trial. And that's how he was convicted. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said that he was denied due process because when that DA Castro made a decision not to prosecute him, and Bill Cosby relied on that, that's why he made those statements at his civil deposition. The Supreme Court says that was a fundamental due process violation because Bill Cosby had a contract put the DA that says, you will not be prosecuted, but you must testify at this civil trial. And so the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said prosecutors are administrators of justice. And when you make a promise to a defendant, we're going to hold you to that promise. And that's why his conviction was reversed.
Understood, understood. Thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate that. Renee, do you have a question?
No.
I want to ask you this question, and this goes back to Georgia law. I'm driving my vehicle, and I get pulled over by a police officer. What must I do upon the police officer's request?
Let me tell you, when I was a police officer, when you pull someone over, even if it's for a minor traffic violation, you have a police officer have a right to say, sir or ma'am, I want you to get out of the car. Some people will say, well, why do I need to get out? I haven't did anything wrong. That is a mistake. A police officer has a right to give you what's called a lawful order. And if he says, I want you to get out of the vehicle, he's doing that for his safety. So that is a lawful order. So I would recommend that you get out of the car, give him your driver's license, give him your insurance card, and simply whatever questions he asks you about, for an example. Now, if he says, where are you going, where are you coming from? You have a right to say, officer, I don't think I want to reveal that information because it's none of your business. But that's when things go to a higher level, because some police officers have this attitude about being in control. So I would recommend, if he asks you where you're going, where you're coming from, there's nothing wrong with answering those questions because you haven't committed a crime. The worst thing you've done is maybe ran a red light or broken tail light or something like that. The worst thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to get a ticket and you'll be on your way. So simply answer his questions because it's not going to hurt anything. It's when you say, why you want to know? Why do I have to get out of the car? That's when that police officer is going to show you that he has the last word on the street. So never get into an argument with a police officer on the street, because if he writes you a ticket, you have the ability to defend yourself in court. You can't defend yourself when you're in an argument on the streets with a police officer, because he's going to find a way to put you in jail. I do not advise getting into an argument of any type, even if you know you're right. You do not want to get into an argument, because he has the right, if he sees fit, to find some crime that you've committed to put you in jail. And let me give you a better example.
Okay.
Even if you're charged, let's say you're charged with speeding, he pulls you over for speeding. Keep in mind, if your attitude gets bad, he does not have to write you a ticket. He can actually put you in jail on that speeding ticket and make you post a bond. Why would you want to go through that?
Let me ask you this question, Judge, and this is the pushback on that. Now, everything you said is perfect legal advice, and I receive that. From a person's perspective who likes to be in compliance with the law, law enforcement also has to be in compliance with the law. So if I get pulled over and I ask the officer, what is the reason that you stopped me? When does the officer have to identify why he stopped me? And you correct me if I'm wrong with this statement I'm going to make, because my understanding is I cannot be stopped unless I have committed a crime or I'm suspected of committed a crime.
You're correct.
So, all right, so if they don't articulate why they stopped me upon me asking, what rights do I have?
Oh, that is a great question, because that boils down to what's called the insensitivity of the officer. Mm-hmm. Because once you get pulled over, the moment you roll down your window, what he should say is, sir or ma'am, I stopped you for speeding. May I see your driver's license? Okay. But what happens is that when you have an insensitive officer or an officer who don't understand protocol or who's having a bad day, he'll say, well, as soon as you give me your license, I'll tell you why I'm pulling you over. That's when the problem starts. But that problem comes in with the police, not with the driver. So unfortunately, you do have police officers that look for ways to escalate situations, and that would be one of them.
And so in a situation like that, it could be possible that he stopped me because he felt like it, and he's kind of on a fishing expedition. He's looking for a reason to give me a ticket justifying why he stopped me. That's possible.
That's called racial profiling. That is absolutely correct. Right. Now, and if I was the driver, I would then say, I need to get your supervisor over here. He has an obligation to get his supervisor over there the moment you ask for his supervisor.
Understood. Thank you.
Oh, and last but not least, if you feel that intimidated, feel free to call 911 on your cell phone while that officer is standing there. And I promise you, that will make him stand down.
Great advice, great advice. Just a couple of more questions for you, Judge. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday. We love having you on. We love having your legal expertise. What is the most difficult case you had to preside over as a judge, and also the most difficult case you've had to handle as an attorney?
As a judge, let me tell you the type of judge positions that I've held. In Georgia, I have held 3 types of judge positions. I have held a municipal court judge, which is a judgeship that handles only traffic tickets and so forth, DUI, speeding, reckless driving. I have also been a part-time state court judge that handles not only those traffic offenses, but handle offenses like battery, shoplifting, all those non-traffic misdemeanors. But the 3rd judgeship I held part-time was a superior court judge. And those type judges handle murder, rape, kidnapping, armed robbery, those type felonies. So the hardest one I ever handled was when I was serving as a part-time judge in South Georgia, in Terrell County, Georgia, where a grandfather was accused of molesting his granddaughter. And the jury convicted him after about 2 days. And I will admit that the testimony was so gut-wrenching as to what he did to this little girl, his granddaughter, who was only 8 years old. Not only did I spend about 30 minutes calling him every name in the book, I mean, it was gut-wrenching. After I got through calling him every name in the book, I gave him 45 years to serve. And I wish I could have given him more. That was the hardest case because this child was so traumatized, I had no choice but to give him the max.
Wow, wow. As an attorney, most difficult case you've been a litigator in?
As a defense attorney, the most gut-wrenching case that I've had was where the Uber driver actually shot a guy that it was an Uber delivery, food delivery. Okay. He was delivering food to a complex in Buckhead, and him and the customer got into an argument. The customer was outside of the vehicle, and they kept going back and forth, and my client felt at some point that the customer was going to put a gun on him, so my client shot him from inside the vehicle and killed him. But at trial, when I was defending him, we argued that it was self-defense. But a jury ruled that since the person was unarmed, but keep in mind, you can be unarmed, but if you make a person believe or feel that you're about to shoot him or stab him, then you will be justified in firing and killing that person. But the jury felt that since he was unarmed, the jury convicted him. But the most emotional aspect was the fact that the deceased person was a Morehouse graduate. His father was a police officer. His mother was a professional. This young man had been trouble in his life. He had an up-and-coming career. To see a client like mine go to prison for life, but more importantly, a victim who lost his life over a simple argument over food, that was the most gut-wrenching that I've had as a defense attorney.
I can imagine that being a police officer on the beat, being a criminal defense lawyer, and being a judge at various levels, I know you've seen a lot, so I know for you to say those were the most gut-wrenching, there are probably a whole lot of other things that you can't even, that you've already experienced and that you've seen, so I appreciate your feedback on that. Judge Patterson, give me 3 tips that you would give to anybody in interacting with police, whether it be men, women, just 3 tips to keep in mind when you interact with the police.
Absolutely. Number 1, you simply want to be courteous and professional. You do not want to ever simply just be argumentative to a police officer, no matter what the interaction is. Number 2, it is okay to ask him questions because remember, he works for you. He's a public official. He or she is a police officer. It is perfectly okay. The second tip is say, officer, can you answer this question for me? And the last tip would be if the officer says, hey, I need to see your driver's license or your ID, or let me ask you some questions. Do not become defensive, because once you become defensive or argumentative, then that officer is going to take it to a whole nother level.
A little variation on that question. You have that officer who quintessentially is that bad apple in the bunch now, and he comes at you and from Jump Street. He's yelling, he's discourteous, he's doing all these things. Give us a couple of tips on handling that situation.
I would simply get on the phone, call 911 and say, I'm having a problem with an officer. Can you send a supervisor or another officer? Or you can ask, if it gets to that level, that officer is not going to call his supervisor because he's already taken it to another level. But remember, if you get on the phone and dial 911, and keep in mind, it's being recorded when you call 911, that officer is not going to do anything to bring you hurt, harm, or danger because he knows it's being recorded through 911.
I love it. I love it. Well, Judge, again, tell us how people could contact you if they were in need of your services.
Yes, if you need to reach me for criminal law, car accidents, police brutality, you can go to the internet, to the web at thebentley.lawyer.com. That's thebentley.lawyer.com, or you can reach me at 404-841-4081.
You have a young lady that works with you, and she's been holding it down for you. Want to give her a shout out?
Yes, Nora Clark, my office manager, legal assistant. I always tell people I work for Nora Clark.
And she takes such good care of you, and you in turn take good care of her. I've seen a couple of videos where you've really shown her what it's like to work with somebody who has your best interests at heart. So I really appreciate the relationship that you two have. Renee, any other questions before we
No, I don't. Thank you so much. I think you gave a lot of good advice and answered some of the most important questions that a lot of people in our communities have questions about.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and I definitely look forward to seeing you all again in the very near future.
So much. We appreciate you joining. Let's talk about it live with Jeffrey and Renee. Have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I need y'all to know that the judge don't play. Judge Jackie does not play. Well, now you can trust him because he got a Bentley.
Thank you.
You take care, sir. You take care. Here's the thing about him as well. One of the most humblest persons you could meet. Real cool, real down to earth. But he does not play. He's about that legal life. And when you are that passionate and you are that in tune with your purpose, you get results like he gets results. And a really, really good person, great friend of the show. Thank you again so much, Judge Jackie Patterson, for showing up. All right. Now listen. We're about to get into some things, so let's talk about it live with Jeffrey L. Miller and Renee. I can't believe I slipped up. It's Jeffrey and Renee. We're about to get into some things. There's all types of stuff going on. Renee is going to come right now and give us a credit tip before we get down into it.
Yes, I want to talk today about what makes up your credit score.
Right.
You want to help me with that, Jeffrey? Do you know what it is?
I think I know.
Okay, well, we're not going to talk to you. Okay, so let's discuss what actually makes up the credit score. It's made up of several different components. One being you pay on the accounts that you have open. You pay good on that. That's going to boost your credit. If you're making late payments, that's going to drop your credit. Also, we talk about the number of accounts you have and the length of those accounts. If you got long-standing accounts, 5, 7, 10 years, the longer it just shows a history of how well you pay on those accounts. Also, what else, Jeffrey?
Let's see, the number of new accounts you have.
Absolutely. How many of your accounts are brand new? How many inquiries you have on your account?
That's a big one.
Now, this is the key. Do you know how many you're allowed to have per year?
Was it 2?
2, and they don't fall off except for when? Every what?
I don't know.
Every 24 months.
24 months. I was going to say 12 months, but I knew that was wrong. That's why I didn't want to be wrong.
Yes, they fall off every 24 months. So when you apply for credit, make sure it's something that you know for certain you need and want, and you're going to get that account open, because whether you get it open or not, it stays on your credit profile for 2 years.
So let me ask you this question. Let's say I've got inquiries on my credit, but my credit is decent. Can I be declined?
Absolutely. Having too many inquiries can deny your credit,
Oh,
even with a high score.
Wow. Okay, so what steps would you recommend if I need to get inquiries off my credit, just as an example?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is make sure they're valid.
Okay.
So if they're not valid, you need to go ahead and file disputes on them to have them removed. If they're valid, there's really not much you can do about it. They're going to be there. Now, there are myths that I can fix your credit, I can get these inquiries removed, I can get this trade line removed, the bad credit. That's not true, guys. Once it's on your credit and it is not erroneous, it is valid, and the creditor is going to prove that it's valid. You may get it removed for 30 days, but it is coming back if it's valid.
Believe it. Now, one thing that I want to ask you about, let's say I do dispute something, and it was 2 years old. Does it update now that I've disputed it? Is it now recent on my credit again, or how does that work?
So if you dispute something on your credit profile, and if it's recent 2 years, no matter how long it is, now here's the thing. It stays on your credit profile for 7 years if it's negative.
Okay.
If it's positive, it sits on there. It can stay on there for 10 years longer because it's positive and it's infecting, helping keep your credit score high. However, if it's invalid and you dispute it, it's going to dispute, it's a process it goes through, but if it's a valid dispute, it's going to come off your credit report.
Understood. All right, good deal. Now listen, Renee be dropping them jewels when it comes to your credit. I said this last week, I can't reiterate it. Having good credit is valuable. The better your credit score, the higher it is, the lower interest rate you have to pay, which means the less money you end up spending in the long run. You also are able to do things like build wealth instead of just paying bills. It's a big difference, living for the bills or living, with financial freedom. Whole big difference. So keep those things in mind. Renee, thank you so much for those credit tips. We appreciate it. And we need them. We're trying to help you. All right. So let's do this. Y'all know we got a couple of traditions on this show. One of them is HBCU Love, where we get to spotlight some of our historically black colleges and universities. This week we are going to spotlight the greatest of the great, the best of the best, the college that sits above and sits higher than any other HBCU out there. I'm talking about the Morris Brown College Marching Wolverine Band. Now don't get it twisted. I hear you over there snickering. When we set foot on the field, you went to Tuskegee, right? When we came over there, we blew that shed off. That little bitty shed on the home side, we blew that thing off. We were louder than y'all in the open than y'all were under the shed. Y'all would not invite us over for homecoming. We were on y'all schedule for homecoming. We said, nah, we can't have Morris Brown come over because the alum would not be happy that we blew them Crimson Pipers or them Golden Tigers or whatever y'all band called, whatever. That we blew them away. So I want you to understand that when we spotlight Morris Brown College, we are spotlighting my alma mater. Yes, we ring the bell for that. And we show up and show out. Are we ready with that clip for HBCU Love? Let's go ahead and roll it. Morris Brown College in the house. Here we go, roll clip.
Drum majors, Thomas Gestapo Warner, Marcus Benson Wright, Greg Crash Sonny Anderson, Chester Ozone Strickland, and Tyra Tomb Raider Mosby. The field is yours. It's showtime in Wildcat Country. Hold on to your seats. It's going to be a quick ride. Here we go. I go. And now it's time for the haze, baby. This evening's fanfare in the stone. better. We went downfield to I've Had Enough experience. The Browns.
Love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Now I started to let the whole video play. So Renee could see a real band in effect because she ain't never seen it in her whole life.
Wow.
Listen, a lot of things are going on with Morris Brown College. Morris Brown College has received candidacy status for accreditation. That was back in April. We're in the process of applying for federal financial aid. All HBCUs are experiencing an increase in enrollment. And when one HBCU gets more people enrolled, all of us benefit. Now listen, if you did not go to an HBCU, watch what you say. We might talk about each other to each other in fun, but look, if you went somewhere else, just watch what you say, because we don't play that about our HBCUs. We love it, we love it, we love it. Okay. Last week we did Hey Zaddy. Remember Hey Zaddy? What do you mean,
I really don't.
You're killing me. We had a situation with Hey Zaddy where the husband had an OnlyFans page. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about your part in it.
You're killing me. So anyway, we did not get a Hey Zaddy comment or situation this week, but if you have a scenario you'd like to discuss with Zaddy, you can email us at talkwithzaddy, Zaddy, at gmail.com. Talkwithzaddy@gmail.com. With your permission, we will play your situation on air and we will discuss it live. But in spite of all of that, you still know what time it is. It's time for you to close your mouth and listen. You ask me some questions, I give you some answers from a man's point of view. Now, I got one reason for the habitually single woman and one reason for the habitually single man as to why you might be single, but before we get into that, here is my disclaimer. Now, see, what I'm going to talk about might not apply to you. If it doesn't apply to you, I want you to put your foot up in this shoe. But if it does apply to you, I want you to put both feet in both shoes and walk around in them, because you're about to learn something tonight, ladies. You go first. All right, ladies, some of y'all are single simply because you have an uncontrollable mouth. That's right, I said it. You have an uncontrollable mouth. Now, this is what I mean. The producer is clapping. This is what I mean. I'm not talking about your man being disrespectful to you and you being quiet. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that man coming home 2, 3 o'clock in the night with no explanation. No, you should say something in that instance. You're not supposed to be somebody that gets pushed over or pushed around. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that always want to be right mouth. I'm talking about that don't know how to apologize when they wrong mouth. I'm talking about that difficult for no reason at all mouth. I'm talking about that control freak mouth. You can be a freak, but anyway, that's the type of mouth that I'm talking about. What I need you to understand, ladies, even the Bible says that it is better to live in the corner of a rooftop than in a house with a quarrelsome woman. That's biblical on that ass. But what I need you to understand, in all seriousness, ladies, when you pour into us in a certain way with your words of encouragement, there is almost nothing we won't do for you. Almost nothing. That can fuel us in a way that has us running through walls. Now, don't get it twisted. You deserve to be poured into too. I'm not saying you always pouring and not getting replenished. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, though, that if the power of life and death lie within the tongue, your mouth is killing your relationship. And that's why your ass is single. Renee, what do you think?
So you want me to comment on something to side with the man?
Woo! I just want you to give your honest feedback.
Okay, so I would be a hypocrite if I was to say that some of that's not true. I do feel like women, I'm going to speak for me.
Some women.
Okay, I'll speak for me. I do think that I do sometimes have a issue with the mouth. Words will come out and you do feel like you want to be right. I don't think it's a matter of wanting to be right. It's a matter of wanting to be heard.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, ladies, I'm not saying be quiet and be meek. I'm just saying sometimes that mouth get a little ratchet. Boy, woo, woo. Do I like y'all to know what I'm talking about?
All right, fellas, don't think I'm letting y'all off the hook. Fellas, you are next. All right, fellas, some of y'all are single simply because you don't bring nothing to the table. As a matter of fact, you ain't got no table. You ain't even got a lampshade. You living with a friend or living with your mom. You ain't got no plan. You ain't got no aspirations. All you got is some wood. And she can buy wood. She can rent wood. But that's all you bring to the table. Expecting this woman with her advanced career, advanced degrees, her everything, to lower herself down to your standards for you to feel comfortable in your own manhood. No, player. No, player. If you're really about that life, you're going to have something that you bring with you to the table. Not asking her, what do you bring to the table? She ain't going to ask you that if you truly have something. Y'all going to look at each other's tables, and y'all going to build a bigger, better table. But don't expect to eat off her table. Well, you don't even bring any groceries. No, you don't even bring an EBT card. You don't bring nothing but some wood. And she don't even like that. And that's why she left your ass single. Now, Renee, I bet you got something to say about this one.
I do have a lot to say.
I knew it.
And it's because, you know, it's so interesting. I was in the car the other day and I heard on the radio where the lady was saying, when the woman actually carries all the weight, or excuse me, when the man carries all the weight, he expects the woman to cook, clean, do the house chores, you know, all of that. Mm-hmm. But when it's vice versa, do we get all that? You know, so I think that you're right. A lot of times it's one or two things that's happening. As a woman, if the man isn't bringing it all to the table, you're trying to compensate for him. But guess what? Does that satisfy the woman?
It does not.
Okay, so that's why you're single.
Now, she brought up something very interesting. Let's kind of expound on that a bit. You said when the man does it all, the man expects the woman to do the cooking, the cleaning, and all that good stuff. But when the woman brings more to the table, usually the man doesn't jump into that role. I will not disagree with that completely. I will say, though, we've seen more house husbands. You know, when we grew up, house husband was a what?
No.
Ain't no house husband. But now, house husbands are becoming a thing. What do you think about that?
I don't.
You couldn't do it?
I don't.
I couldn't do it either.
No.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, I was raised that a man is a man.
Now look, some of the people in the younger generations looking at us and they got their face tuned up. What's wrong with a man? What's wrong with traditional? We ain't got to have traditional gender roles and all that stuff. I will submit to you that there is nothing wrong with teaching a man certain roles and responsibilities, and women certain roles and responsibilities. Now, in a relationship, those things can be fluid. If the woman is better with finances, damn it, let her handle the books. If the man's the better cook, he cooks. If you're both equal, take turns with it. It makes perfect sense to me. I don't know why it's such a hard thing to do. If you're better at it and the relationship can function, you let that person lead in that area and you guys move forward in a functioning, healthy relationship. That's all I got to say about it. I want to ask you a question though, Renee. I saw something online that's really interesting. I want to bring it up.
Okay.
Get your feedback. All right. So as I always do, I look through different social media posts and I found something that said this. A young lady said, my husband, or my ex-husband's wife, is a millionaire. I'm only getting $900 a month in child support. I'm thinking about filing for a modification based on her income. Should I do it? What do you think, Renee?
Absolutely not. So, one, that millionaire didn't have that child with you. That ex-husband did, and it's his responsibility as well as yours to provide for your child. Now, if that ex-wife is doing something, anything, it's from the goodness of her heart, and she's not obligated to do anything because that's not her responsibility. I don't care if she's a billionaire. It's not her responsibility. And no, you should not. You file modification if he has an increase in salary and the child needs it and you're not able to do it on your own. But yes, not the wives.
I do not disagree with that at all. I'll submit to you this. When that husband and that wife got married and she's a millionaire, first of all, I hope that they don't have any joint accounts. Because any account that his name is on is subject to the jurisdiction of the court. I hate it that it has to be that way, but in most states, that's what you're going to find. It could be a joint account. If they file taxes jointly, whatever it is, that mother or the custodial parent can go get that money. If the total household income is combined and it's in excess of all this money, I don't know how it's going to flesh itself out if they're married, filing separately. What may be the case, and I'm not an attorney, don't take this as, Jeffrey said this and go down to anybody's court, because it ain't going to get you anywhere. But I believe if they have separate everything, that may be able to protect her from that mother who's thinking about doing the modification. Now, if that man is already paying $900 a month, he has not missed a payment, and you're just being greedy, shame on you. Shame on you. You're just trying to come up. It's not even about the child now. It's about you. How much money can you get? And that's what child support is for. It's to make sure that the child is able to be cared for financially. And if the man is doing that and you're okay, it's all right not to be greedy. It really is. But what? She gonna file? I bet you she filed it. I bet you she filed it. You know she gonna do it. All right. So, Renee, you watch Wendy Williams?
No, but I hear about her a lot. She's been in the news a lot here lately.
We had a segment on Wendy Williams last week, hating on Sister Tabitha Brown.
Yes.
One of the nicest, inspirational, motivational people out there. She's nice for no reason. Just a calming spirit, the type of person you can sit there and just listen to them talk for hours. And Wendy Williams had something to say about that. Wouldn't you know that Wendy Williams had something else to say this past week about a TikTok influencer? Now, we're going to play that clip in just a moment, but let's talk about Wendy. Why do you think Wendy is, well, she's always, this has been her thing, but recently it's like she's going extreme with it. What do you think?
I think that her issues, and I say issues because it's a lot of issues surrounding that ex-husband. I think that probably broke her down because throughout that marriage you saw different stages of Wendy becoming who she's gotten to be now, very bitter, right? When the first time the media was approaching the fact that the husband was seen cheating on her up to the time he left her for, you've seen her become angry and you've seen her just do malicious things and talk about people that maybe she feels jealous of, like Tabitha being able to support her husband and have him retire. The comments she made on that, like I give that relationship 6 months, that was just negative. Terrible. And then with the TikToker, it's like you're comparing viewers. It's sad.
So listen, we're going to play this clip, and I just want y'all to just watch her mannerisms, listen to the tone in her voice. We'll come back and discuss it. This is Wendy Williams on a TikToker. I can't pronounce his name, so we're going to go ahead and roll the clip, and we'll come back and talk about it in a second.
There's one person in this building, maybe Sus does. Do you know who Swavey is? Clap. Clap if you know who Swavey is. Okay. Sus?
Nah, it's not my cup of tea that I got going on right now.
Well, he's a TikTok star. He's got more followers than me. 2.5 million.
On TikTok, but on Instagram, you have more followers.
Well, as my son Kevin would say, no one uses Instagram anymore.
What?
And as far as TikTok, I don't use that at all. I don't know what that is. I don't want to be involved. So here he is. He's 19, and he was murdered Monday morning. Now, according to our friends at MediaTakeout.com, hi, Fred, the killer confessed on Instagram Live. He said that Swavey invited him out and alleges that Swavey and the friends that were with Swavey jumped him and tried to kill him. So he had a gun and did the killing. So somebody's dead. The guy who was invited over, he's dead.
Yeah, Swavey is, dead.
Swavey is now dead.
Correct.
Oh. All those followers. Yeah, that's really only 19 years old. And by the way, the friend who came over was an admitted drug dealer. No one in custody.
Now, I need y'all to understand something. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say something at all, don't say anything at all, that's a really good axiom to live by. Usually when someone passes away, all the stuff that you could say negative from everything I've ever been raised, you kind of let that stuff go because there's nothing else you can do with it. For her to say drug dealer, all those followers, he got more followers than me, all that stuff is absolute bitterness. I mean, she's in the perfect place right now to be as bitter as she wants to be and for it to be justified. Because that's really all she does. That's how she's built her audience. For Wendy Williams to talk about anybody meeting with a drug dealer is the height of hypocrisy. For anybody to talk about anybody having any type of addiction to anything coming from Wendy Williams, that is the height of hypocrisy, because if anybody knows anything about Wendy Williams, she certainly had her struggles. I'm not condemning her. That's something serious. It's not something you take lightly. At the same time, damn, Wendy, a 19-year-old, that's somebody that you got to disparage. As my daughter would say, you probably just clout chasing. She did it for the views. I bet her views are up now. We talking about her. I bet other people are talking about her too. At some point, Wendy, you're gonna have to get some help, or you're just gonna have to back away from it and do something different, because I don't believe you can be around that much negativity and not draw negativity to you. I can't believe you can just deal in negativity in the way that you do on a consistent basis and expect positive outcomes. It might be a reason why your husband divorced you. Now that was kind of mean. It's the truth though, and sometimes the truth ain't pretty. That's all I got to say about that. All right, let's lighten it up a little bit. Can you sing, Renee?
Yes, can I sing?
Sing, yeah.
No.
I mean, sing. Can you sing?
No.
You can hold a note. You can harmonize.
You know, I sung in the choir.
So you harmonize in the background.
In the background.
Okay. All right. I got this clip of this young man singing. With it's impromptu now, and it really tripped me out because I'm like, okay. He don't look like he can sing worth nothing.
But he can sing.
He actually did all right. Now, there a couple of times he got ahead of himself, outside himself, and tried to do a little too much. But for the most part, he did a pretty good job. I like to call this, that boy can sing.
Okay.
That boy can sing. We're going to play that clip. We'll come back and talk about it. We good on that?
I'm waiting on you. I should have quit you a long time ago. Go ahead, boy. Say it again. I should have quit you long time ago. I done got wild. I don't want you no more. I done got wild. I don't want you no more. Oh, should have left you a long time ago.
Oh! Boy, you bad, man. What's your name, cuz? What's your, Surrender. Y'all give it up for him. That young man sound good. Surrender. Shoot.
Get with it.
He did get with it.
Did he get, he got a little happy. Started doing that little head action.
He got into it too.
He really did. Now, a couple of times he got a little pitchy.
Oh yeah.
Tried to do a little too much.
A little bit, yeah.
But you know, he should have left her a long time ago. He would have been all right. Been all right. Let's talk about some stuff in the news. Okay. Now, you know, around this country, there have been all types of protests around removing Confederate statues.
Right.
A couple of years ago in Charlottesville, there was a really, really big protest around the Robert E. Lee Memorial they have in the City Plaza. Well, it's finally come down. They took it down in about an hour. Renee, what do you think about all these Confederate memorials and stuff around the South that people are you know, almost deifying, they're almost worshiping these things like, you know, they're biblical? What do you think about that?
I think it's time that, I mean, one, they never should have been up, but based off where our country was and the people leading the country, we can understand why they were placed up, right? It was a constant reminder to everything outside of European to know that, hey, this is our country. Well, now with the truth being told and everybody can relate to the actual factual history, does it really represent the country of the United States? No, it doesn't. So, yes, I do think that the meaning behind them definitely does not signify who and what the country is. It was built on falsehoods anyway.
I love it. Well, you know, here's the thing. All those memorials are built to traitors. Robert E. Lee was a traitor. Jefferson Davis, a traitor. All these men that they have these Confederate statues of are traitors. They seceded from the Union. Sam Houston is a traitor. All those men are traitors. Now, you don't see memorials in any other country that had a traitor memorialized. Not in the public square. Now, you might see something in a museum for historical purposes, but traitors are not celebrated. Also, they lost. You're celebrating losers. It's like you're celebrating Trump all over again. He lost and they lost. What is it about memorializing losers? Don't get it twisted. Everybody who participates deserves a trophy in some type of way. The first finisher of the second place finisher is still the first loser. But the bottom line of it is, I don't get this country or the South's addiction to these losers. Do you have to feel good about yourself through a statue of somebody who was a traitor to the country, and you call yourself a Christian at the same time, and most of these people were in favor of slavery? Don't get it twisted. I don't care what the sons or the daughters of the Confederacy say. Those men were in favor of keeping slavery in place. So with that said, we don't celebrate traitors. I don't know what they're going to do with Stone Mountain, but they're going to have to do something. I ain't never going back to Stone Mountain until they put Outkast on the wall. What do you think? Outkast?
No, not Outkast.
Not Outkast?
Not Outkast.
Michael Jackson?
No. What about Martin Luther King?
I'll take ML King. They can throw Kwame Ture up there too.
You think so?
Yeah. Stokely Carmichael. Don't throw him on up there. We will do that. We will do that. All right. Let's talk about ESPN. Did you hear about Maria Taylor?
No.
All right. There was a white female journalist at ESPN, sports journalist.
Yes.
Who on a hot mic basically said, "Hey, Rachel Nichols is her name. I don't disparage, Maria Taylor, but just don't give her my stuff." She didn't deserve the promotion. She probably got promoted because they were trying to be, and I'm paraphrasing, they were probably trying to reconcile their really bad hiring decisions over the years. Now, what Rachel Nichols said ain't a lie as far as ESPN's hiring practices. They have not been on the up and up. It's widely known. At the same time, don't talk about Maria Taylor like Maria Taylor doesn't deserve it, like she's not highly qualified. And that's something about some people. They tend to think because we are getting a position, we got to be affirmative action. We can't be qualified. The only reason we're getting it is because of affirmative action. What do you think about that whole scenario?
I think that we see it in the workplace. We clearly see it in the workplace. Like at a company, we see where you may have 240,000 employees, where only 13% are biracial, African American. This is a whole 13% now.
Yep.
Hispanic.
Yep.
Everything except what they consider as European. Now, is that because they are more qualified, more educated, more experienced than we are?
Absolutely not.
But we see it, right?
All the time. All the time. All the time. There was a study done not long ago of the top executives at most firms.
Yeah.
And it's still in the high 80s. And I mean like 89% of the executives, the highest executives are white men.
Yes.
As if no woman or black person or person of color could occupy those types of spaces. I went for a position, this was several years ago, and I'll never forget this. The brother who knew me said, "Hey man, don't you do this?" I said, "Yeah, I've done that for years." "Send me your resume, I got this good position."
Right.
He sent it to the hiring manager. The hiring manager called me, and this is what she said, almost verbatim. "Well, yeah, your resume looks good, and you got these qualifications, but you know, why do you want this job?" I'm like, "Are you trying to hire me, or are you trying to dissuade me? Because don't you get money when you send a qualified candidate to them?" She said, "Yeah, but I just want to make sure that you don't get the job and leave." I'm like, "Okay, so you're looking at my resume, you have not met me, and you're asking me these negative questions." And then it hit me, oh, she doesn't want to send me over because I'm not white. They wanted a white person in this role. And my friend basically told me, he said, "Man, they do that stuff all the time. It's like they screen us out from these roles that we are qualified for." And don't think that I'm one of a few, that I'm an anomaly. That stuff happens all the time.
Right.
There is a cap of how far they want us to go, and the rest of it, they want to make all that money. Look at the legalization of marijuana in the state of Florida. They have basically made it impossible for a startup to get into marijuana distribution in Florida by requiring you to have been in existence for a certain amount of time in the agricultural field. They didn't do that because they wanted to level the playing field. They wanted to lock people out so that the people who wanted to get into that business had as much time as possible to make all the money up front, to put their stamp on the distribution lines and all that stuff, or the infrastructure, so they could make as much money as possible. That only happens when they want to lock you out. That doesn't happen when they want to be inclusive, because if this was really a free market economy like they swear up and down it is, free market capitalism, they wouldn't have those types of restrictions in place. Not over weed, a plant. Come on, son. You're killing me. All right. Let's do something different. Renee, you have a boss of the week?
I actually do. Her name, I'm not going to pronounce her first name because it's a little different, but her last name is Avant Grande.
Okay.
She is the young lady that won the spelling bee.
Oh, yes. You know what? I should have pulled a video for her.
Yes, that was so outstanding. 14-year-old girl, first black girl. So we see a lot of young black women doing positive things in the community and in the national, because she was the first one.
Absolutely.
Now there was a Jamaican girl prior to her named Joy that had won, but that's international.
Okay.
So this young lady has been the first one in U.S. history.
Wow.
14 years old.
I love it.
I do
love
too.
it. You know what?
Awesome.
I'm going to send that video to the producer, see if he can pull that video up. And Brother Joe, give me a thumbs up when you got that video pulled up. It should be in the inbox in any second now, because that certainly is noteworthy. I can't believe that I forgot about her. And she was so cool with it.
Yes, she was.
She said, you know, I want to play basketball, but I also want to do something with science, or I can't remember what the other thing was. But she said, like, the spelling bee is a hobby.
Yeah, and she also said that I would like to see in a couple years more blacks, boys and girls, in the spelling bee.
I love it. I love it. You know, when it comes to educational opportunities, you know what they push on us? Sports. Sports. That's what they push on the young boys. Sports, sports, and sports. I saw something that when you see a tall young man, a young black man, instead of telling him he'd be a good basketball player, tell him he'd be a good doctor.
Or engineer.
There you go. We're going to play this clip right now. I think it's Zaelia Avant.
Leah.
I should have done just like you did and just pronounced her last name. No disrespect, young lady, but I can't pronounce your first name. We're going to play this clip, come back and talk about it. Let's go ahead.
This week without recognizing history made at the National Spelling Bee last night and the impressive young teen who won it. Lisa Desjardins is back with her story.
The word is Maria.
A genus of trees. That was the word that sealed her victory last night.
Murraya.
That is correct.
14-year-old Zaila Avant-Garde from Harvey, Louisiana, became the first African-American to win the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
I've been working on it for 2 years, and then to finally have it, the best possible outcome was, it was really good.
The only previous black champion was an international student from Jamaica, Jody Ann Maxwell, in 1998.
I'm hoping that in a few years, I'll see a whole lot more African-American females and males too doing well in the Scripps Spelling Bee, because it's a really good thing. It kind of is a good gate opener to being interested in education.
For Avant-Garde, competitive spelling came relatively late in her life, only 2 years ago, with daily study sessions about 7 hours long, reviewing nearly 13,000 words a day.
I just study it, getting ready for Scripps.
This summer, she emerged from more than 200 contestants and breezed to victory past 10 other finalists last night. It was a stark contrast to the previous competition in 2019, when 8 students took home a prize.
The 2021 Scripps National Spelling Bee champion.
But for Avant-Garde, winning the bee and the $50,000 that came with it is only one of her passions. She is also an avid basketball player and the owner of 3 Guinness World Records for her amazing dribbling skills. With her basketball talents and now the spelling bee under her belt, she says she now has her eyes set on even more ambitious goals, from playing in the WNBA to maybe one day coaching in the NBA. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins.
Did you see the cross? She crossed the girl up. She broke her ankles. And she probably was spelling when she did it. Broke, B-R-O-K-E, her, H-E-R, ankles. I bet you that's what she did. Well done. Well done. I love it. I love it. My boss of the week is Naomi Osaka, tennis player. Now, I need y'all to understand something. When it comes to mental health, Naomi is like, listen, I ain't got time for y'all. I don't care where we are. I'm taking a mental break. I'm not dealing with this stress. Let me just take you back a little bit. When Naomi beat Serena Williams, I believe it was in the U.S. Open, and you know, Serena's chasing this this other record in the tennis era to have the most wins. They moved the goalpost several times on her, first of all, but anyway, she's still chasing it. And the umpire called a foul on Serena, not Sabrina. Hey, Sabrina, how you doing? You know what I'm talking about. And so the crowd really started to boo when Naomi won. And Naomi Osaka said at that point, that's when she really started to suffer mentally. There were a couple of times that she played. I think she played Coco Golf one time, and they played a really tough match, but Naomi won. And they wanted to interview Naomi, and Naomi asked Coco Golf to go on the court with her and talk with her. At the time, it was a kind gesture. In hindsight, I think she was still dealing with that trauma from what happened at the U.S. Open. And now this week, she's on the cover of Time magazine, and the article is a really good article. Check it out. She says that it's okay not to be okay. She's really going about normalizing caring about your mental health. Now, one thing I learned from my father is that it's okay to work. You work, you're sick, you work. You keep on working, you work through it, you push through it, all that stuff. And I can say that there were times that I didn't feel up to it, that I forced myself to do something. And my performance wasn't as good as it could have been. In those days, you didn't really take a mental day. You went to work, especially my father's time, and that's how I was raised. Now, yeah, because if you die, they're going to replace you tomorrow. It is what it is. So I applaud Naomi Osaka for her stance on mental health and the way that she's really, really going to bat really hard for people to take a self-assessment and do what's best for your mental health and your mental stability, because there's only one of you. You can't do it all. And not everybody has a good day every single day. That's my boss of the week, Naomi Osaka. Love it. All right, y'all know I got another video. Now, let me ask you this, Renee. Do you expect the truth in your relationships?
Absolutely.
You want the truth?
Absolutely.
So if you get the truth, you're going to be all right.
Yes.
You can handle the truth.
Yes.
Okay, so if you were to ask your husband for the truth, and he gave you the truth, and you didn't necessarily like the truth, let's say you talk about some peach cobbler. You ask him, how's your peach cobbler taste? And he gives you the truth about your peach cobbler. And you don't like the response. You gonna be mad, or you gonna take the truth?
Both.
Well,
You do both. You be a little upset. Your feelings be hurt, right? Your feelings be hurt. But you can't be mad. You really can't be mad. You asked for the truth.
You did. So if your husband gave you the truth about your peach cobbler, would you make it again, or would you not make it for him ever again?
I'll make it again.
Just to see if we can get it better?
Just see if I can get it better.
Okay. I'm going to show you this video of this man whose wife asked him about some peach cobbler.
Okay.
Now, Renee, don't lie. When you see the video, tell me if this is how you would have reacted. Because I just want to know if you would react the same way. We're going to roll this clip. I'm going to call this some peach cobbler. Go ahead and roll the clip.
Hey, babe. How that peach cobbler tasting?
It's all right. I had better at the school cafeteria.
Now, Renee, if your husband had said, it's all right, I had better at a school cafeteria, what would your reaction be?
I would have been disappointed. You want the truth, because I wouldn't have never done that, but I think that I would have been like, really, what's wrong with it? I would have solicited more feedback, like, why isn't it good? But she just went, bam, tried to kill it.
She threw a whole bucket, a big old bucket at him. I don't even know why they got a bucket that big. It's an old school wash bucket, like a wash. Back in the day, an old school wash bucket. She threw it with no hesitation. As soon as he was like, it's all right, I think she was loading up.
Right.
Getting ready to throw it.
Still smacking and bam.
Ladies, y'all swear up and down y'all want the truth. I don't know if y'all can really handle the truth.
People ask for the truth all the time. So not just ladies, I think that people ask for the truth all the time. But remember that movie?
Which one?
The one where the guy said, you can't handle the truth.
Oh yeah, A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
Y'all can't handle the truth. Women, y'all can handle the truth.
People cannot handle the truth.
Okay. Case in point. Ladies, if you ask your husband, honey, does this make my butt look fat? And he said, absolutely. Are you going to be mad?
No, because you should want him to tell you the truth before you go out.
Y'all feelings going to be hurt. Y'all going to be like, you supposed to accept me for how I is. What's wrong with my ass? You wasn't saying that last night.
You may say some things, but you are going to appreciate the truth from your husband because he's going to tell you before you go out there and somebody else looking at you crazy. Really? Absolutely. Me and my husband have this thing where, listen.
Okay.
Do not let me walk out the house looking like a fool. You tell me before somebody else. And I might be thinking I'm looking good, and he'd be like, no, that ain't it.
I love it. And that's exactly how it should be. You and your husband are to be commended. Because most of these women out here, they don't want the truth. They do not want the truth. They want to be heard, but they don't want to listen. They don't want the truth. I'm going to give it to you like this. Ladies, sometimes we can say something to you, and because it's us saying it, you'll be mad. But a stranger could tell you the same thing, or a woman could tell you the same thing, and it's cool. Matter of fact, we ain't never talked about this dude on this show yet. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Kevin Samuels.
We have talked about it.
Have we?
Yes.
Was it deep?
We got deep with it.
We got deep with it. Okay. He don't be lying. I'm gonna feel like that. He don't be lying. He just put it out there. Boom. This is what it is. Boom.
But now, they asked.
That's exactly where I was going. These aren't people off the street that he's talking about. Mm-mm. Some women who listen to him get convicted over what he says as if he's talking to you. He's talking to that particular woman who called in about her particular self. And he also rips men up all the time.
Right.
Before he started talking about women, before he got popular, he was killing us in a good way. He was giving us tips on how to be better, on what we should do. We shouldn't be stepping to a woman if our finances are out of whack. What's wrong with that message? He was killing us, but as soon as he started talking about women and he blew up, women love to hate him. It's because y'all can't handle the damn truth. Y'all love to hate him. They done went and found all types of dirt on him, call him Auntie Kevin. It's crazy. You don't act like you ain't seen it. I know you seen it. Am I lying?
No, you're not. You're not lying.
They are killing me. They are killing me. So I still say, ladies, some of y'all, I'll put it like that, some of y'all simply cannot handle the truth. We still love y'all, though.
Ladies, all right. I'm speaking up for us.
Okay.
It goes both ways.
Okay. See, now I'm going to put my phone over here. The number is 470-251-4647. Y'all buckle y'all seatbelts. Because whenever y'all say it goes both ways, that ain't nothing but deflection. Y'all just be deflecting?
No.
Okay, what is it?
No, we're just speaking the truth. And like you said, we don't want to hear the truth. You don't want to hear the truth either.
Okay. So I saw this thing on Facebook not long ago. It said, ladies, if you're having sex with a man and it's whack, don't save his ego. Whisper in his ear, boo, boo, in his ear. Why don't y'all just tell us the truth if the sex is not good?
Spare the feelings. Now there's a difference. Women. Now you have women. It depends on the type of woman you're dealing with, right? So you have women that just it's inappropriate to say certain things, right? You don't want to hurt someone's feelings, but you move on. You're not gonna keep doing it if it's you just move on or you don't do it, right? That's in anything. Okay. But then you have those women that be like, this ain't it. We are not compatible. You're gonna have some that do that.
That's true. I will not.
And it goes the opposite way. But what about those men that have sex with women and the sex isn't good for them? Do you tell her?
Okay, great question. Here's a real answer. There are enough men out there right now that would be like, it wasn't good for you? Oh well. You didn't get one? I did. What was taking you so long? My bad, I'll get you next time. And it's just not much of a thought because all they want is to experience their own orgasm. If you get one, great. If you get one or you don't get one, great. I got mine. There are some men out there who are like that. And I would submit to you also that they don't get very much from the same woman. They might have to go find another victim But the reality of it is, there's some guys, you know, even if you told them that, it would not faze them because they getting it.
And I will have to say that when you say some guys, what works for you and X woman may not work for you and Y woman, right?
I love it. Absolutely.
So just because you're not compatible with me doesn't mean you won't be compatible with Sue.
That's true. There is a technique, though, that if the man is smart, that he will take time to explore and learn a woman's body to know how she'll be physically stimulated, but also he takes time to learn what stimulates her emotionally, mentally. When he gets his hands on those three things, most times he'll get a second shot. Even if it's not good the first time, she'll say, okay, well, he got that part right, man. Let me give him another shot. Now, after that second time play, you're on your own. If you can't get it right the second time, I can't help you. So that's a you problem. But, you know, if the woman sees the right type of effort, the right type of attention to her needs, she's more inclined. I'll say many women are more inclined to give you a second opportunity when she sees you paying attention to her needs. But if she don't see that, nah, that one time about all you got, and then she's really gonna forget about it. So technically, in her mind, y'all ain't do nothing. You don't count. You don't even count. All right, so I want to ask you this one other thing, Renee. I want to know how you would react to this. I found this clip on Facebook of this man rewarding his fiance.
Oh.
You know, I just want to know how you would react in the same scenario. It's a powerful gesture, and at the end of the video, what I saw from the woman was even more powerful. But I want you to pay attention to what he did.
Okay.
Now, you know, you about your money. You should be able to count the amount of money he gives her real quick, because, you know, you should be able to identify what types of bills he put in her hand.
Okay.
So we're going to play this clip, and I want to get your reaction. I want to know what you would have done if your husband did this to you. Go ahead and roll that clip. What would you do? How would you react?
There you go, baby.
What?
Yes. Oh.
What, baby?
Here you go.
What's this for?
Money.
Why?
Just for you.
To do what?
Whatever you want to do. Feel free. Fly like a bird and spend it.
Never.
Yes.
Why?
You said you wanted to go to the mall, so whenever you go, enjoy.
For real?
Yes.
I'm gonna take you on a date.
You gonna take me on a date?
Yeah. Let's go on a date.
Baby, it's for you to spend on you.
All right, so I'm gonna spend it on us.
All right, cool.
Let's go. We're gonna go on a date.
Sweet.
Where you wanna go?
You take me.
Where you wanna go? I'll take you where you wanna go. Hey.
Sweet, baby, give me a kiss.
I'm gonna take you on a date. Thank you, baby.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, let's go on a date.
All right, all right. Now, how would you have reacted?
Pretty much like her.
Okay. I want to read some comments because I put this on my Facebook page. Here's some comments on Facebook. All right. Nina Ray said, that's me all day. Let's ride, boo. All right, Nina, I ain't mad at you. Kim Hickey said, reciprocity is easier when you are secure. Her reaction infers that he probably treats her well emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. I ain't even mad at that. Marla Clark said, that definitely is always my reaction. Very good, very good. Smiley Norris, I like Smiley. Smiley said, I'd definitely be appreciative that he gave me that money, but I'm going to submit to his wishes and spend that money on me. And then she said, see, I can be submissive. Now, if you know Smiley don't play that. Now, Smiley got a strong personality. She's a sweetheart, but she don't, there's a certain line. You don't go beyond that line, y'all gonna be all right. But she said, I can be submissive when she getting that money. I love it, I love it. Claudette says, me immediately checking the Delta app for flights. I just want to know, does that include him too, or just you getting out of town? You killing me. All right, so Marla Pruitt had something really, really interesting to say. She said, that was so sweet. Very. You can tell this is a loving relationship. She said #goals. Then she said, however, absolutely nothing wrong with spending it on the purpose he gave it. I get it, and that was sweet though. I'm not mad at you because he did say,
spend it on you.
Spend it on you. That's for you. Now, the fact that she did show that level of reciprocity, it shows how she feels about him. It's almost like she's saying there is no me without you. This is a us thing.
Right.
That's why they get married. Yeah. That's why they get married. Now, ladies, I'm gonna give y'all this. Y'all ain't gotta like it, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Sometimes it's great to be the center of the relationship. Sometimes the man should look at you and look at the relationship to see what he could do and make you happy. And you too should be focused on what you can do to please him and make him happy. And then that's how you get the we thing going in the relationship, when you use emotional intelligence before you make a decision. If I make this decision, how is my wife or my partner or my mate going to respond to it? If you think like that in a relationship and you keep their feelings in regard, that will keep you from doing some things that would be disrespectful, inconsistent, and very respectful. And so I'll give you that. Now, how much money do you think he gave her?
It looked like a couple thousand. It definitely was that.
It wasn't $100.
Oh, no.
No, he broke her off.
Some thousands.
Yeah.
I was counting the hundreds,
Yeah.
so.
I thought it was about $2,000, $3,000. Because when she opened it up,
right,
you know, it was more than 10. It was more than 20. And from my perspective, I ain't seen nothing but hundreds.
That's all I saw.
Okay, now I know a little bit about money too. So he broke her off. And, you know, she did a little dance at the end. You better dance if I give you that type of money. There's one more comment right here. Esther, I love Esther. She's really, really funny. Esther's one of the type of people that's blunt. She'll tell you like it is. You're not even going to use a scientific term, but she said he gets kisses on his other lips, and we only got one set of lips, so you know where she's talking about. Then she says, thanks, boo. Now hold my hair. If I die, I die. I ain't mad at her. I ain't mad. You mad at Esther? Hey, look, I follow Esther. Esther's funny, but she keeps it real. She's blunt. She'll give it to you like she'll give it to you. A friend of mine, Morica Madden, she's a friend of the show. She's getting married soon. She says, Justice does this for me and buys me things. And I always buy him things when I shop for myself. This is a normal occurrence for me. And it should be normal in a loving relationship. And I can tell you, when you see people who haven't had the easiest time when it comes to love, they finally get that reciprocity, they finally get their turn at happiness, it's always a good feeling. Mm-hmm. Because you don't, first of all, you don't want to go through a bad relationship yourself, but sometimes watching somebody go through a bad relationship, you know, that can be traumatic too.
Absolutely.
But when you see somebody on the other side of it, that's when you get reminded of just how special relationships can be with the right person. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, now, you know, I'm very adventurous. Are you adventurous?
Depending.
Okay. So in Las Vegas, they have this place called the Stratosphere. Mm-hmm. They have a bunch of rides at the top of the Stratosphere.
Uh-huh.
Will you ride those rides?
No, I would not. No.
Okay.
Isn't that the one that's up at the very top?
Very top.
Yes, no.
Okay, they have a ride called the X Screen.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be afraid of heights. I decided that, you know what, I'm going to face my fear of heights and I'm going to ride the X Screen.
Okay.
Because it rolls you off the side of the building real fast. Yeah, dead serious.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I overcame my fear of heights. And ever since then, you know, there's some things I want to do. There's this big old bridge. I don't know where it is. I hadn't found it, but I posted it.
No, I saw it.
It's high as hell.
No.
And you basically walk.
But how do you get there and how do you get off of it? I saw a lot of people asking you that same question.
Yeah, you go up and then you walk on the bridge, on the ledge, and then you get off. Like when I went to the Grand Canyon, you know, there's a part that takes you out over the Grand Canyon. It's a glass bottom. You wear these little things on your shoes, but you can see down in the Grand Canyon. There are places in Chicago you can sit in the window, be hanging out over the hotel. You wouldn't do none of that.
No. What? Heck to the no.
You're killing me.
You must did not watch Hillary's husband on the Fresh Prince.
She said,
watch that.
Bungee jumping.
And bungee jumping.
Hillary's husband. You know what? That's how I can tell we grew up in a good, time frame, because we remember stuff like that's traumatic for real, even though it's fictional. It was real.
Hey, it could be.
You're right. But I love it. I love the thrill of it. And so I got my limits though. Don't get it twisted. Now, this one fool.
With the skateboard.
With the skateboard. What in the heck? You know what? And like, they're speaking a foreign language. But his friend that's recording it, I want you to listen to his voice. I swear he's cursing in whatever language he's cursing in, or he's speaking. But he's cussing because he didn't think his friend was going to make it. It took him a while to open up that parachute. But we're going to watch this clip, and we'll come back and talk about it. This is That Fool is Crazy.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais toi là? Tu t'es perdu ou quoi? Ça gagne ça, à l'aise. T'es bon mon loup. Quand tu veux.
3, 4, 8, regarde.
Cool. Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Did you hear him? He cursed. He said, he was like, oh shit. In whatever language he was.
Because that parachute wasn't coming over.
Look. As adventurous as I am, as much fun as I like to have, yeah, that's just too far. I mean, that is way too far. Why not just jump? Why you got to get on a skateboard and ride the skateboard? What? I don't get it. Because at any point, let's say he fell backwards. Let's say the skateboard came off from his feet and he fell backwards. He's gonna die.
Okay, so with saying that,
yes,
as that picture you had posted on Facebook was that a bridge?
It was a bridge.
Okay, so you would do that, right?
I would do that, definitely.
So what happens if you take one step backwards? You could fall and same outcome.
No, the bridge has a pretty good path because I think it's at least 3 people wide. I think 3 people can walk on it comfortably.
But at any time,
this is true.
A bad move, a bad step, I mean, the same outcome.
This is true, and one thing I ain't gonna front about. I'm glad I got life insurance, and I have an accidental death policy on it. So my kids would be rich.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
That's true, it's not the point, but just in case,
yeah,
they would be covered.
Situation.
They would be covered. Come on now,
Daredevil, no difference.
What happened to Hillary after the guy died? Her husband.
She kept going.
Life goes on. I mean, you got to keep on moving. Now, don't get it twisted. It would be scary.
It would be.
Walking on the bridge would be a thrill, but why not? What do we got to lose? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's have a little fun.
Life is what you have to lose.
Okay.
We
gonna get reincarnated anyway.
Okay.
We gonna come back in another form.
Okay.
Everything gets recycled. I love it. Okay, so did you hear about this home for sale in Columbus? It's like a castle, a little mini castle in Columbus.
Really?
It's like $430,000.
Where's it located?
The Winton Road area. You know how they got all those little. It's in that area.
Wait, it's not near that Burger King, right? Off of Winton Road.
I think it's between the Burger King and Cross Country Plaza in that area right there. Have you seen the pictures of it?
I have not.
I'm like, wait a minute. This house been in Columbus for how long now? And it's a nice house. There's some nice houses in Columbus, y'all. Don't get it twisted.
Oh no.
But this one is pretty unique.
Okay.
And I was sitting there like, okay, I can remember parts of Columbus being all white.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all white. It's not like that. Well, it's still like that, not as much as it used to be.
Just in a different area now.
Thank you.
Yes. Just keep moving up.
Yeah. They're constantly moving. But the bottom line of it is, I'm like, how could I not have known that house was there? I think the house was built in the 70s or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So my question to you and to the viewers is, how well do you really know your hometown?
That's so true. You know, because I think when growing up in a city, you're gonna always travel in the same vicinity over and over. Like if you think about it, way back then, Columbus was much further than what people traveled.
Yep.
Like we only traveled maybe definitely not Victory Drive, but Buena Vista, Macon, and you didn't go really past Macon for a long time.
That's it.
And then it just kept expanding, but those other exits existed.
They really did.
And we didn't, because you always went Macon Road,
St. Mary's
Mears
Road.
Road, and Buena Vista Road.
That's it. That's it. And I'm like, man, what else is in Columbus I ain't never seen? And so whenever I go home, I just drive around, go all over the place. I know the Riverwalk has gotten to be a lot of a more entertainment area.
I heard.
I just keep hearing they close early.
And there's a water raft or something too.
You know, Columbus, you're doing your thing. I'm gonna need y'all to stay open kind of later than y'all stay open though, because I was hearing like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock closing times at some spots. What the hell?
Well, I think they should with all the crime.
I forgot about that part. Okay. It's all good. It's all good. I think I got one more clip. Let me make sure. Do I got one more clip? I think I got one more clip. I do. Now, we talked about Sha'Carri Richardson last week. Now, her suspension will be up in time for her to participate in the Olympics if she was selected, but the relay team did not select her. Now, let's keep it real. There are some people who run the relay exclusively. That's what they do. And they had already pretty much known who they were going to select for that squad. Dropping somebody for Sha'Carri isn't as easy as it seems. Now, could she be allowed to run in the 100-meter dash? Yeah, she could have. Did they have to come down on her as hard as they did? I don't think that they did. However, the international rules, those are the standards. Not the rules in Oregon, you know, where marijuana was legal, not the rules of the United States, but the international governing body. With that said, there's a clip that I have from a former LSU women's athletes who basically summed up how a lot of people are feeling about Sha'Carri. And I want to play this clip just to underscore the fact that instead of us being so mean towards each other, just think back to when you were 21.
Now this is our alma mater, right?
Yep, LSU.
Yeah, very good.
Just think back to when you were that age in college. Some of the things that you did, some of the ways that you acted, some of the mistakes that you made, some of the substances you took, which were absolutely illegal at that time. And then think about extending some type of grace to Sha'Carri. We're going to play this clip and we'll come back and talk about it. Go ahead and roll that clip.
You know I play.
Dear Sha'Carri,
Sis,
in the last few weeks, you've experienced
the highest of highs
and the lowest lows.
Last week, finding out my biological mother passed away and still choosing to pursue my dreams.
You've inspired
people from all walks of life
to stand in their greatness. What we also know is we all make mistakes. Mistakes that can be costly. You know how I know? You know how I know? Because I made them. Because I made them. They were hard. They were painful. And many times self-imposed. But you know what my mom always says? This too shall pass. You will grow from this. Girl, honey, you gonna glow. Glow?
From this.
You will. You will become stronger. You will become wiser. And regardless of what the world says, we
got your back.
Without my grandmother, that would be Sha'Carri Richardson. So my family is my everything. My everything is to the day I'm done.
We are your tiger family, even in the darkest moments. So guess what you want to do, baby girl? Wipe away your tears, girl. Fix your crown. Continue to run your race on and off the track. But you know what? You are far from done, and we will be here, cheering you on to live the greatness that you were destined for.
What do you think about that, Renee?
I thought that was so powerful. You know, when we talk about diversity, you saw that right there in that video. You saw a combination of people from her school, you know, just supporting her and giving advice and saying, look, you're not the only one. I've done this. Hey, this too shall pass. That's my favorite verse too. I love that scripture. It's temporary, you know. Great things are still ahead of you. Don't give up. And you know, I had tears in my eyes the very first time I seen that video, just to see how powerful it was. Like a group of women coming together to encourage a young girl. You know, that was so powerful for me.
I love it.
I did too.
I need y'all to understand something. With nothing but sincerity here, there are so many other things out there pushing against our children. And even though she's a young woman, those of us who are old enough to be her parents almost have to form a type of shield around our children, and also through extension our neighbors' children. Don't get it twisted. I remember explicitly that if I was down the street and I happened to get in a bit of trouble down the street, my mama knew about it because my neighbors would call and tell her. It wasn't that they were trying to be a tattletale. The community was watching over all of us. And for some reason, we think it's okay not to watch out and look out for each other. I got some friends, nothing but respect to them. The way that some of the comments they made towards her, I was completely shocked and completely surprised that you would say some of the things that you said while mentoring young kids. At some point, we have to recognize that there are enough forces against us than for us to empower those forces. I saw a video, I almost presented it on TikTok, about FloJo and comparing FloJo to Sha'Carri Richardson. And the white lady said something about FloJo's nails. And she said, Florence Griffith Joyner, a known doper. A known doper. Now, as far as I can recall, she never failed a drug test. As far as I can recall, the toxicology report on her did not show any types of drugs. I'll go back and double check myself. In comparing her to Sha'Carri Richardson, the young lady said, this is the only way y'all can beat us, through drugs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the records in competitive sports are held by people of color, black people, or for the most part, everybody other than white people. None against white people now, because there's some of y'all people that be eating hot dogs like crazy, and y'all the world record holders, okay? But when it comes to competitive sports, for the most part, you look at football, in most categories, as far as the record books go, it's an you easily know who's on the top. In basketball, very easy to know who's on top. In baseball, for a long time, they did not consider the records from the Negro Leagues. As soon as they did, though, a whole bunch of records changed. So I'm not saying this to disparage anybody or any race of people. I'm just saying, for our community, we got to protect our people. And when we protect our people, even when they make mistakes, it makes us stronger. The negativity isn't helping her. All it's doing is adding to the confusion. The way that we wrap our arms around Naomi Osaka and the way that she dealt with mental situations, we also have to wrap our arms around Sha'Carri Richardson, and the way she handled a very stressful situation. They both deserve our grace. Both of them. All right, that's all I got about that. Renee, let me ask you this. How many children you got? You got sons, right?
All boys.
All boys. How many sons?
All boys. 4, 5, 6, because I got grandkids, so
okay,
it's
you
counting
got
all of
like
them.
13 of them.
13 of them.
I love it. Now, what are your age ranges?
And my oldest is 30, And my baby is 17.
You barely 32. How you got a 30-year-old?
You know I'm not 30.
You look like you're 30. You look like you're 30. I love it. My daughter came over one day. What do you think the first thing she did was when she came over?
Gave you a hug.
No. Boys
do that too.
It's a kid's thing.
Okay.
I'm like, how in the hell you just gonna come over here and go in my kitchen? I don't understand. What you looking for? And then I had a toaster on the counter. She took my toaster and put it under the counter and said, Dad, we don't do stuff on the counters. We got a lot of counter space. We don't put stuff. I'm like, who the hell? How much on this mortgage you got? What you gonna pay? I don't understand. So my question to you is, do your kids try to run the way you run your house?
That baby boy do. Yes.
I don't understand.
Yes, they do. I think they, like, as I was leaving, where you going? For the longest, if I was not home when he came home, I get a message, where are you? Yeah. But as far as running the house, no. They try to run you.
All I know is my daughter was like, okay, I need a garage door opener.
Oh. So does she have a key to the house?
She got a key.
All right.
She got a key, but like, okay, let's say I get deployed. You know.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. So, but I mean, you know, I put the toaster back on top of the counter because I want to make some toast when I want to make it. Now I want to reach down, you know, I want to bend. I just want the toaster on the counter because that's where I want it to be. It don't match though. It match what I need to do. They be killing me. Okay, so I got one more thing for you. We're getting close to the end of the show. There's all types of stuff in the news. The big thing though is there was a movement by the Biden administration to release funds for farmers. And what they said was, okay, we're going to release some of these monies to black farmers first, almost exclusively because of the way the FDA has treated black farmers. And white farmers got mad. Stephen Miller, no relation, helped to lead a cause to file a lawsuit that said that's discriminatory. Now, before we get into it, Renee, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I don't know if you remember, probably about maybe 10 years ago, could be a little bit longer, there was a black farmers lawsuit.
Pickford case.
Yes, and I missed out on that, but anyway, there was one, and it's clearly due to the discrimination of black farmers. Okay, so now I think with what Biden is trying to do is just say, hey, they've already been mistreated enough. It's probably less of them than it is of you anyway, you know, so let's start here. I don't think it's discriminatory because he's not saying we're not going to give you a part. He's saying we're going to start here for the ones that's already less fortunate. Let's ease it up to your level because you know they're up a level above the black farmers. So I don't think that that's a warranted lawsuit. It's not discriminatory.
It definitely is, and I agree. I'll tell you this, even after the Pickford case,
yes,
all of them didn't get paid.
I didn't.
They dragged their feet, and they kept dragging and kept dragging and kept dragging their feet until the farmers went under, and there was no money for them because they didn't own a farm anymore, so they weren't eligible anymore, or whatever the case was. But everybody didn't get that money. Some people only got $25,000.
And some people didn't even know about it.
So now, this is the part that's crazy to me. You got these farmers who have been able to benefit from historically getting money first, getting easier loans, even when they had the money to give and the farmers qualified, the banks were saying, no, we ain't got no more money. They were lying. And the government was in on it. And so now in an attempt to try to right the wrong, they set aside these billions of dollars, and it's a few $1 billion, rightfully so. And they reserved it for the black and minority farmers. And the white people like, no, that ain't right. Where were you when they were discriminating against black farmers.
That's right.
You didn't say anything then when these manufacturers of seeds were selling black farmers bad seed on purpose. This was less than 5 years ago.
Yep.
Less than 5 years ago, trying to bankrupt these farmers, giving them bad seeds. I heard, I was listening to NPR the other day, and this farmer had his land foreclosed on.
Wow.
As a result of waiting to get money from the Pickford case. And what they did was they took his property, all the machinery and stuff, and they auctioned that off. Wasn't enough money there. They worked the land, because he had wheat. They basically worked the land, got all the wheat, and sold it. He had a good crop, good harvest. He got no money from it. And after that, they still took his land. Now that happened very recently. So this whole notion of discrimination is hurting this farmer and that. No, don't open your mouth now. You didn't say nothing when you were reaping the benefits from it. And only because you've been treated in a way that's not favorable to you, do you feel it's a problem. Again, Stephen Miller, no relation, former Trump advisor, is in on that. It's crazy, straight crazy. All right. You got big plans for the rest of your weekend?
Yes, I do.
What you got planned?
I'm going to be studying. I know I'm about to graduate,
All
so
right.
I'm going to be studying.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Doing big things?
Yes, I'm going to do that and just enjoy the week before the next one starts.
I love it.
How about you?
Let me see. I'm finishing up some artwork today. I'm delivering it tomorrow. I'm doing a performance on Monday with the Morris Brown College Alumni Band, percussion section. I'm stretching right now.
Okay.
To make sure I can march and not pull something.
Because you ain't young as you used to be.
Oh, I still got it, but you're right. I'm definitely not as young as I used to be, but we'll make it do what it's going to do.
Alrighty.
Absolutely. Listen, we do this every Saturday right here on Manifest TV from 6 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Let's talk about it live with Jeffrey and Renee. I need you to follow the station. On Instagram is manifesttv.status. Facebook is manifesttv.status. Twitter, status_network_. We are on the Amazon Fire Stick and Roku under Status Network or Manifest TV. You can also find us on YouTube at Manifest TV. The phone number is 470-251-4647, and the email is manifesttv@statusnetwork.net. Renee, if people want to follow you, how can they find you?
You can follow me on Pretty Eyes at Instagram.com, or you may follow me also at Lavonda Renee Griggs at Facebook.
All right, and I am Talk with Jeffrey, Jeffery. You can use that hashtag on all social media platforms except for Snapchat. I'm not snapping. I'm not chatting. I think I'm a little too old for that. This has been a whole lot of fun. This is Jeffrey.
And I'm Renee.
And we are out.
And there you have it. Thanks for joining us on Let's Talk About It Live with Jeffrey and Renee. Watching is the best decision you'll ever make. And make sure you join us next Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. only on www.statusnetwork.net. Jeffrey, Renee.